Hey, hi there, everyone. Yeah, I'm just driving at the moment, heading back from a training session I just gave. Been having really amazing conversations with players while having these sessions, and one thing's been hitting me home a lot. As a player in today's basketball, it's really tough to mentally really get to a place where you are consistent. And this video primarily I wanted to record for that purpose. I mean, it just dawned on me that it is that much difficult for players to be able to be consistent, especially when you're playing overseas. I mean, the environment and the atmosphere that you're basically playing in, depending on naturally where you're playing, it's very, very tough. But I mean, like in countries like the Netherlands, for instance, I'll give you an example. So I mean, like, you have potentially weekly trainings, but I mean, like, it's not every morning and every evening that you've got them. Some teams, they really do have those structures in place where you can actually make use of gym time, or potentially speaking, kind of time that does really make sense. But on a whole other note, if you're like in Germany, I don't know, anywhere else around Europe, it's likely a little bit more easier. I mean, but still, I mean, it's tough to be consistent when it is surrounding this case of where you're trying to get to the gym, or even if you have strength and conditioning sessions, and you basically struggle to get in a mode where you're trying to work yourself out for game purpose. I mean, all right, you've got to do the basic training at some point to, let's say, get better physically speaking, but on a whole other level, trying to get your body in tone for game purposes, that's really, really tough. And I just wanted to recognize that, for one. And another thing is, I wanted to also potentially provide some insight and some solutions, because I mean, like, I think there are a bunch of keys and bunch of things that you can potentially do for yourself to try to get better. And I don't want to sound repetitive in terms of what I'm explaining, but yeah, one thing is, obviously, I mean, getting to the gym is critical when you can. Number two, and by far, I think in the modern day of basketball, watching either yourself on film to realize what mistakes you're making, or let's say areas that you're really trying to improve in, that's critical. But another thing is watching players that you really kind of take up as role models. Though those are, let's say, the critical parts of let's say areas that you need to watch out for. And again, a lot of players, they either dig for details or insight on YouTube, but those are usually highlights of players that you usually see. And I mean, you don't see the full value of, or let's say the full scope of motion of a player on how they really play. So it's critical to be able to, let's say, watch and target the kind of moves that you're really looking for to implement into your own game. And I mean, okay, in all fairness, when I was a player at the end of the 90s and beginning of the 2000s, being able to reach video became a little bit more accessible, but it wasn't anything like it is today. So a lot of players in this day and age, they really have it easy on that sense. I mean, you can you go on YouTube and then kind of search for any player that you're really interested in to find out highlights on them, especially if it's an NBA player, or I don't know, like a top level EuroLeague player. But if it's somebody that you think you compete against in the same league and you barely find video on them, then yeah, it's an issue. So I mean, you're gonna have to try to dig and try to find. And if your assistant coach is not the kind of person that really is willing to share or look into details the same way that you are, then you're going to struggle on this. And I hate to say it, but to a point, I mean, I do very much dig into these spaces a lot. And I see this as a part of my service and value add to a lot of players, because at the end of the day, I've been through this process. I mean, I've basically gone through this kind of a circumstance with a lot of players, and yeah, I basically have a niche in this area because I also used to be an international scout. So I know what to look for. I know when a player basically explains to me what they're looking for. And yeah, I mean, it just comes easy and natural to me. I mean, I can kind of like come up with a 5-minute explainer video on, for instance, I mean, recently a player that I've been in touch with, big man, playing extremely well in a very promising league. They are looking to dig further into a guy like Evan Mobley. And just like tomorrow, around about noontime, I'm going to dig into Evan Mobley, do a 5-minute explainer video on this NBA player. And potentially speaking, I mean, I know what to dig into. I mean, I'm not going to give him, let's say, all the defects that Evan Mobley basically has and try to explain how he actually gets over those defects. It's more about how he gets to the rim, how he actually moves without the ball, and potentially speaking, I think with the modern big men these days, I mean, like Evan Mobley, 6'11" guy, he really flat out does a lot of intangibles. And those intangibles, they are very different than what the regular classic modern big man is. I mean, a classic / modern big man based on NBA standards. So it's in a way maybe kind of easy for me, as mentioned, but it's also knowing exactly what to look for. And yeah, last but not least, by far, I mean, when I talk with a player and kind of get into exactly what to explain, I always also try to get into their mindset and then try to understand exactly what their needs are. Because, I mean, if they're having an off day or if they're having an off season in general and they want to try to kind of get back on track, then it's twice as hard to be able to really get back on the rails, so to say. So yeah, I mean, just wanted to kind of pass those 3 kind of major keys I see, potentially speaking. And yeah, I mean, maybe kind of like when I piggyback off of the fact that, again, a lot of players, when they get into the gym, they kind of like go through the motion of going through an individual practice when they have the opportunity to. But even when they are in a case where they try to, let's say, dig into further detail and understand exactly what to develop further, then it becomes that much more potentially troublesome. Because I'll be fair, like a lot of players, they think that they know what to develop on court, and they think that they know how to work out, but they struggle a lot. And especially when you're kind of like in a youth development stage and in a mode where you're trying to, let's say, know more, or let's say kind of get into the groove of getting to that pro level circumstance for yourself, you're not going to actually know a lot. You're going to try to learn, but you need also to learn from the right people in your environment. Or if you even don't have those people in your environment, you need to try to reach out to the right people. And players usually don't have that tendency. They think that everything's going to come to them. So, I mean, again, in no way not self-promoting myself about this, but if you are in a case where you do not know who to reach out to, doesn't it make sense that you actually try to figure out exactly what you need to try to do to get better? And is it not more sensible to try to reach people that actually can try to give you the best circumstance overall? Well, yeah, I mean, I consider this kind of like maybe the second episode to Player Talk, and I just wanted to basically give you the aspect of where things are in that sense. So yeah, today is Sunday. I think it's either the 4th of December, and yeah, as mentioned, I mean, just kind of like getting back from a player session right now, and just about to hit up another workout circumstance. So yeah, but yeah, guys, definitely would love for you to have a look on Ubuntu Basketball's YouTube channel, and yeah, let me know your thoughts. I mean, I'm curious to hear from players and people that are following me to find out more. I mean, I really love to hear what you gotta say, and do these 3 points actually differ for you? I mean, the whole practice with purpose, and then being able to watch video the right way, and yeah, furthermore, being able to get to the right mental state to be able to get things done. Do these all really make sense to you? Just let me know. I mean, I'd love to hear back and for sure understand more. And I'll also say this. I mean, by no means do I like to interfere in team practices. I mean, what team coaches do around Europe, it's insane. They're seriously good coaches that actually know their stuff. But players, on a whole other perspective, they do need those individual practices during the course of the season, and even in the off season, when contract periods are over. I wish there would be opportunities for pro players and players of all kind really to be able to keep on working out. But I mean, obviously, very, very tough circumstances anyway. But that's a talk for another time. But yeah, I mean, my best regards to all team coaches that basically do their thing and get through season really amazingly. But yeah, again, that's also potentially talk for another, let's say, show, another episode, potentially speaking. Yeah. So looking to hear back from you, and yeah, please subscribe to Ubuntu Basketball's YouTube channel, and then for sure keep in touch.